Gonna be okay in here?
I think so.
Or were you screaming shit show?
Because this thing just fell.
Jasper like ran in.
Okay, now I press the button, and Hunter, tell me if you can hear me now. I hope you can hear me now. There you go. I hope you can hear me now. Yes, we're good. I can even see me. Look at that. Look at the technology we have here. Look at the technology. And my son should be proud because I pressed the buttons on my own today. So he's proud of me. My son who went to Oklahoma, I got the Sooner coffee today. Bobby, do we have a Grimaldi's card to give away? We do. Wow. Got a Grimaldi's card to give away. Maybe I can bribe a caller to call in today.
Sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes him off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Open at the 35. Racing to the 20. 10. Touchdown Raiders.
And now,
Out of the gate, JT from home today as we are rolling through on a Friday. And thanks to my wife who brought me a coffee, and my live feed is you are looking live at as Brent Musburger would say, into the guest room of my house today as we're building a podcast studio. We got contractors banging nails. And my wife threw me in the guest room today where mom and dad stayed last week. So working from home is a good thing. Bobby lets me do that from time to time. And today is a Modelo Friday. Modelo. Everybody raise a Modelo with me on Friday. At 2 o'clock today, Pacific time, I'll have a bucket of Modelos in my backyard ready to roll. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that and kick off a pretty good weekend here, which I think is going to be a fantastic weekend here overall. Because there's a lot to cover here in Las Vegas, as there's no Golden Knights. We don't have any Golden Knights at this point in time, but we have the opportunity to talk about a lot of other things, which would be Raiders OTAs. Raiders OTAs is a big deal. We saw the youngsters with the veterans. That's a good thing. And when you get the youngsters and the veterans overall, I think it's pretty important to see Aston Genty and Brock Bowers and Aiden O'Connell and some of the other guys who are out there overall. I love that. And I thought a lot of good came out of this. I thought a lot of good came out of everything that we saw here over the weekend and over the last couple of days and at OTAs with Pete Carroll and everybody else. As I'm getting feedback from my computer microphone, but I'm going to work right through it here as we get going. So I want to hear from you. We got a $50 Grimaldi gift card to give away today on a really simple topic that I think can engage everybody here on exactly what you think is the biggest position battle heading into training camp. What will be the battle that is the most important heading into training camp that you think could change everything, going forward? What will that battle be? What position group will it be? Who are you most confident in? Who do you think is the player? Ready for this one? This is going to be tough. Who is the player that can unseat the veteran? Who is the player that can come in and unseat the veteran and take a job away? Now, I'm not interested in anybody losing a job. I don't want to see anybody lose a job along the way. But Pete Carroll needs someone to fear that they're going to lose a job. And I don't think it's going to be Geno Smith. And I don't think it's going to be Jackson Powers Johnson. I don't think it's going to be anyone in particular, but it could be a cornerback. It could be a safety. And I want to know who that player is going to be that you think shouldn't be scared, shouldn't be nervous, shouldn't be freaking out, but should say to yourself, or maybe they're going to say to their girlfriend or wife, oh my God, man, we can't go to Cabo the week we have off. We can't go surfing. We can't go see your mom because I might lose my job. I might lose my job to some guy who's better than me, who I already know is better than me. Who could be that guy that has to worry the most about his job going forward? And I want to get into that because I'm not looking to stir the pot. This is just the opposite. I want to hear from Pete Carroll at some point in training camp about the player that he thinks is going to be in a position where they're going to have to really fight for their job. They're really going to have to fight for their job, and they're going to have to look over their Raiders' shoulder. I was trying to think, I don't want to talk about the fifth wide receiver right now. I really don't. I don't want to talk about the sixth wide receiver until I see the training camp practices. I want to talk about the offseason and the players that could be playing here. And I want to find out who's going to be the player overall that you think is going to be in a situation where he's going to tell Coach Pete Carroll, hey, Coach, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock. I think I'm going to be better than you think, but I don't want to lose my job. And I got a couple of ideas that we can get to here. Put it into the chat. Yeah, Michael Guerrero says perfectly, it should be a linebacker. Hell yeah, it should be a linebacker. We don't got a Ray Lewis. We don't have a Lawrence Taylor. We don't have a guy that puts fear into the rest of the league. We need to find someone who can put fear into the rest of the AFC West. Who's going to be that linebacker who's going to be able to do it? I want to find out who that player is. And the cornerback situation here, to me, is really interesting. Cornerback situation, I've said this the last 2 years, and I've been wrong. I was wrong, JT the Brick in the third person. I've said, go get me a right tackle at the end of training camp. A right tackle that is cut from another team and let him be here as a starter. No, we wanted to go with Thayer Mumford. We want to go with Brandon Parker. We want to go with all these other guys, and they just can't get the job done. So right tackle here and cornerback, to me, are going to be the infusion possibly of a player that could come in here and do an unbelievable job coming up. And I want to see an unbelievable job maybe from a player who's going to come in, and that player is going to be fantastic. 702-365-9200. And, man, Brock Bowers sounded great this week. Max Crosby sounded great. Pete Carroll, did he sound an alarm? Did he sound an alarm when it came out, in your opinion, on exactly what was going on with Christian Wilkins? Was that an alarm, in your opinion? It wasn't an alarm, in my opinion, but it rattled the Raider Nation. I always say Raider Nation unite. I don't want Raider Nation uniting over drama. I don't want Raider Nation uniting over chaos. I want Raider fans to be quiet in June. I want Raider fans to be quiet in July. I want Raider fans to do summertime radio and hold their hands, kumbaya, and feel good about the team. And I think we got a lot of good to feel good about right now, because we got the head coach with the proven track record. We got the young GM who wants to be great. We got Alex Guerrero conditioning everybody, the right diet, the right food, the right rest. You got Deuce Gruden coming in third in the World Bench Pressing Championship. I mean, what is that like? You got John Gruden's son, Deuce, who's bench pressing somewhere around the world in Brussels or Germany, and he's beating guys that are like 6'4", and he's in the weight room. Everything looks good. The field looked beautiful the other day. I'm like, oh, my God, can I play golf? When these guys go home, can I just set up my wedge game and play golf out there? The field looks amazing. Allegiant Stadium. We need to turn Allegiant Stadium into a home field advantage. Raise your hand and beep your horn if you're not going to sell your tickets to a Cowboy fan. Oh, it's tempting. Oh, those Cowboy fans right here, they're on my phone. JT, can I have what? You want me to give you my tickets? Give you my tickets? I got to pay for those tickets. I got to write a check too. Control your house. Take advantage in year 6 of your environment. Pete Carroll, then Jackson Powers Johnson and Max don't want you selling your ticket to a bunch of scoundrels and fans who don't like the Raiders because you want to pay for a cruise. Let's stop that garbage. Let's protect Allegiant Stadium. The home schedule, I'm thrilled about. I mean, I'm not thrilled about Cleveland and Jacksonville, but I'm thrilled that those are games that are home, and the Raiders should win those games. I'm thrilled about Monday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys and the season opener at home against the LA Chargers. Man, the Chargers look good. You see Hampton, the running back they got. You see Alt, the offensive lineman they got the year before. You see Justin Herbert, Derwin James, our friend Khalil Mack. He's still our friend, Khalil Mack, even though he's the enemy. Chargers look good. Are we asking for a split against the Chargers in Denver? Or can we get back to being aggressive the way I host my radio shows and say, let's sweep Denver's ass again? Let's get Bo Nix in a sophomore slump, as Lincoln Kennedy talked about that as we did our schedule release. So I'm ready to roll, man. I want to hear from some people today. Bucket of Modelo Friday. I got a lot of people to thank here. We do that on Fridays. Went to Nudo Italiano last night over on Cactus, close to Southern Highlands. Wife and I had a beautiful night last night at a brand new restaurant. So you people in deep Henderson and in that area have a place you can go eat now. Unlike us in Summerlin, we've got restaurants popping up everywhere. We got movie studios. We got a baseball stadium. I guess we have some Italian chefs out here. You finally got one in Chef Billy DeMarco, who's going to be cooking for you out in Henderson, which is about time, in my opinion. So we had a great night last night. And tomorrow's my son's birthday. And my son, who's in here behind the scenes, my son, tomorrow, and my dad's birthday. Remember, I told you this. I'm sorry. I apologize to my wife. She's in the other room. I apologize. My favorite day of the year every year is May 24th. It was the day my first son was born, and it's my dad's birthday. And tomorrow my son turns 24, and my dad turns 87. So that is a high holiday in my house, which is going to be tomorrow too. I'll be working Memorial Day, not here on Raider Nation Radio. They're kicking us out of the building. I'll be working Mad Dog. And on Monday, Memorial Day, is my 29-year anniversary of being syndicated on the radio. First show I ever did was in Las Vegas on Memorial Day, 1996. So I haven't taken a Memorial Day off in close to 30 years, which seems kind of stupid, but I like to keep that streak alive. And the most important thing in my life tonight is the Knicks. I need the Knicks to win. My gut feeling tells me, and I'm a diehard Knicks fan, that the series is over. The series is over because they had their heart ripped out of them in front of all their fans, Larry David and CeCe Sabathia and everybody who was there, Tracy Morgan in the front row, once again walked out to their limos and car services and said, holy crap, the Knicks lost again. They were up by 14. With under 3 minutes to go, they were up by 10 with a minute to go, 9 or 10, and they choked that game away. So if the Knicks were up 1-0, I'd invite you to the house tonight. We'd have Modelo's, Grimaldi's. We'd have some tequila Commissario. We'd be sitting in the backyard with some Tito's on the rocks. But I'm a defeated Knicks fan, and I'm rarely defeated as a sports fan. I'm rarely defeated. I am defeated as a fan here. I need a pick-me-up. So who's going to give me a pick-me-up on Friday? 702-365-9200. A lot to get to. Tell you one thing, Oklahoma City looks like they're going to win the title. They look unbelievably great. They don't look good. They look great. Oklahoma City looks almost impossible to beat. God, they look good. And I just love my Knicks to get a puncher's chance in them. Chris in West Oakland's a college basketball coach. So he probably has a Raider opinion and an opinion if my Knicks are dead or alive. Start us off, Chris.
First off, just wish an early happy birthday to your dad and John. God, 24 years, man. We're getting old, brother, because my oldest Andrew's going to be 35 in a couple of months here, and all three of mine are in their 30s. It goes quick, man, and I know you appreciate it. And happy birthday to both of them. And again, an early, I usually call you on Memorial Day. Happy early anniversary, and you it's a well-deserved Memorial Day off for you, my friend, after all the years of, I remember the hardest working man in sports talk when you do 3 hours local during the day and then 5 hours at night. Nobody did that in radio. So enjoy your Modelo and Tito's tonight, man. I'll get the Knicks in a second. You kind of beat me to it with my Raider. Who needs to worry about his job? And it's for a different reason. The first guy that popped into my mind was Christian Wilkins, and it's because of the injuries. Pete Carroll's an old school coach. They'll be patient with him up to a point, but there comes a point where guys that are constantly hurt, and again, I don't know what the history of this guy is. He was here last year. But if it gets into midseason and this guy's having trouble getting on the field, a guy like Pete Carroll and your old school coach and GM, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if they eventually just cut ties with him. Now, he's not in that situation where he's got to worry about his next meal and paycheck, can't travel with his wife. He got his bonus money. He's made big money. But I think the guy that's got something to worry about is Christian Wilkins. Oh, and one more thing, JT, you're right. We don't have a Ray Lewis. We don't have a Lawrence Taylor. At this moment, I'm not even sure we've got a Greg Beekert on the roster at linebacker, and I just don't know why this team has never been able to go out. You've got to go back to Phil Villapiano in 1971, the last time the Raiders drafted a linebacker that went on to be to the Pro Bowl. They had success with guys like Hendricks, Rod Martin, guys that came from other teams, but they have not drafted a linebacker that's made the Pro Bowl in 54 years. That is just unbelievable to me. Now tonight, man, you're right about your Knicks. Listen, I think it's a bad matchup. I predicted Indiana in 6. I think they're younger. They play at a faster pace, but I wouldn't have bet a lot of money on it. But the biggest hurdle for the Knicks right now, JT, is psychological. How fast can you recover from literally blowing a game that you literally controlled for 47 minutes and 59 seconds? You had that game by the throat. I don't know psychologically the way the fans, the way the players partied and celebrated after they beat Boston. They kind of acted like that was their championship. And, maybe they needed an extra day to recover from that. I don't know. But you're right. If they lose this game tonight, JT, this series is over. I don't think either team in the East has a chance from whoever comes out of the West looking like OKC. But the Knicks have got to get back to doing what they do best, control the pace. You're not going to win a game in the 120s and 130s against Indiana. They've got to grind it down to the high 90s, low 100s. Brunson's got to be clutched down the stretch like he always is, but they can't let Indiana just get up, set the pace, run up and down the court because they're too young, too deep, and too talented for the Knicks to handle that. But again, like you said, man, the psychological barrier is the biggest thing. The best thing the Knicks could do tonight is feed off that Garden crowd, come out, lay a good ass whipping on the Pacers tonight, not squeak out a tough game, kind of get their mind right to give themselves a fighting chance going forward. Want to say happy Memorial Day to everybody out there that gave all for this country so we can do what we do, sit back in our backyard and have a drink. A loudmouth like me can get on the radio and spew whatever garbage I want because of what men and women in this country have given since the beginning of this country. Thank you, brother. Have a great Memorial Day.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you checking in. What he said about the Knicks is really important. If the Knicks could come out and really make a statement tonight, then they're back in the series and it's 1-1. It's not the end of the world, but if they lose tonight, it's over. It's over. So that it feels like an elimination game. And it was that Chris in West Oakland putting Christian Wilkins on notice? Whoa. Does Christian Wilkins have to worry about his job because Pete Carroll is not going to be patient or not? I don't know. I don't think Christian Wilkins has to worry about his job. I think if Christian Wilkins becomes healthy and he doesn't have a nagging, lingering injury, and he's not in the training room every day when preseason and the season starts, he is a potential Pro Bowler because the Raiders hired him, paid him an enormous amount of money, guaranteed, to go to the Pro Bowl, not to be a defensive tackle. We got plenty of those guys. We need Pro Bowlers. Not everybody can be Max. But Geno got to the Pro Bowl, and most people around the league didn't think Geno was a Pro Bowler. We need to find players that Pete Carroll, Darian Porter can develop into a star for years to come. We need stars at Allegiant Stadium. I just saw Stevie Wonder perform at Allegiant Stadium last Saturday night. He's a Hall of Fame star. Give me more stars on this defense in the secondary and at linebacker. I want to get to Big D. Longtime friend, the greatest salsa maker in the history of the world. He loves Maui. He's in the chat, and he's calling. Big D, how are you, my brother? What's happening?
Everybody, God bless our men and women in the armed forces, and thank you to all those who gave their all for the country. Now, this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but Sunday is the biggest race day of the year for us motorsports fans. And starts early Sunday morning with the Grand Prix at Monaco, then the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indy 500, where there are a couple of great side stories going on. First, you have the rookie Danny Schwartzman on a rookie team who's sitting on the pole position, never been done before. Then you have the best driver in the world, Kyle Larson, going for the rare double-double, running 500 miles of Indy, then flying 2 hours to North Carolina, and running a 600-mile NASCAR race at Charlotte. Then there's 50-year-old Helio Castroneves, one of the four-time winners, going for a record 5th win at Indy. And finally, there's Joseph Newgarden, defending back-to-back Indy 500 champion, driving for an unprecedented three-piece, driving for the mighty Penske team that was penalized last Sunday for failing technical inspection, and it was thrown to the last row. So it's going to be an awesome race. I have a new recliner, all-day menu is set up, and I'm ready for a killer day. That's all I got, brother. You and yours have a blessed holiday.
God bless Big D. Good to hear from Big D. Good friend of mine. You know, I made a lot of friends since I got in radio, and I often say, and I know it comes across weird, I didn't get into radio to make friends with people in radio. I apologize. I got a lot of friends. Been very lucky my whole life, but I met guys like Big D, Chris and West Oakland, Raider Mort, Stoner Dude. You know, the list goes on and on. There's so many good people that I've met here, and I appreciate hearing from a longtime friend from time to time, and he's a big supporter of what we're doing on YouTube at JT the Brick YT. I appreciate that. I'm not an Indy 500 guy. I'm trying to get a little bit more into F1 because we have F1 in Vegas, and it's a really big deal. I like a spectacle. I love something big. I love the ending of the Preakness last week. How crazy was that? Journalism, that was incredible to see. So I'll tune into the Indy 500 to take a look. My Spurs of Tottenham. You know, the Raiders play football games when we play in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's my team, my European soccer team from London. They just won a big trophy. So excited about that. What we're trying to figure out in our household this weekend is, do we go see Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible? Do we do that in the opening weekend? Now, here's the problem I have. I don't like people in movie theaters. I don't like other human beings in movie theaters. They eat like cows. They make noise. They move around too much. I don't like it. I like to be quiet in a movie. I like to sit in my chair and watch a movie, not hear other people or see them or watch their hands and their butter and their popcorn. I think it's gross. But this is the type of movie where I'll bend the rule. I'll go to a packed theater to see Tom Cruise because the movie is so enthralling that you need to go to this movie. So I got to go to this movie this weekend. I got to find some time here, but I don't know when we're going to get it in because my wife knows I could say this, but then you get me online at the movie theater and there's just a bunch of people talking and acting like they've never been to a movie, and it really bothers me. So raise your hand and beep your horn if you're going to see Tom Cruise, who put his life on the line. As I've been watching this movie, this latest in the Mission Impossible, supposedly the last one, he's lying. He's not going to be the last one. He's going to do another one. Is that he's hanging from airplanes over rivers and he's only 15 feet off the ground. If that plane catches bad wind or crashes, Tom Cruise is dead. He's not injured. He's dead. So I like when my action stars do that. They put their life on the line. Tom Cruise does that. So how much does a movie cost? Can someone put that in the chat? What does a movie of this magnitude cost to go see? You got to go see it in IMAX. You got to go see it in a real theater. Is it 19? Is it 25? Have they raised it to $30 to go to the movies? Let me know. 702-365-9200. Murph in Buffalo. Thanks for waiting, Murph. You can get us going here on a Modelo Friday. What's happening, Murph?
You can't get over 50 degrees here in Western New York, unfortunately. I want to shout out to Raider 66 for filling us in on that rule with the tush push. That was interesting to me. You know, I like hearing the history and what rules were and what not. Really happy with Genty. I haven't been more excited about a rookie since Khalil Mack. I mean, this guy just seems like a freak. I want to switch over to baseball. Your Yankees got my Mets this past weekend. That Sunday got a little out of hand. And I'm going to bring up Juan Soto. I don't agree with, him not hustling, but I want everyone to get off his back, and I'm going to tell you why. The guy's just getting going. It's early in the season. We know the baseball season's a marathon. And, I mean, last year, let's think about it. Who was batting behind him? Aaron Judge, your boy. If there's no one like him, I know we have Pete Alonso, but Pete Alonso's no Aaron Judge. So I just hope everyone gives Soto a little bit of slack here. With that being said, happy Memorial Day to everybody, and happy birthday to your son and father. It's my mom's birthday tomorrow, too, buddy. God bless your day. 87.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate it very much, and thanks for that. And Look, when it comes to Memorial Day, one of the main reasons I moved out west was the weather. I miss my family terribly. I miss the sports. The sports to me were better back east. It just was. And I moved out west because I went to college in upstate New York. And I grew up. And then when it got to the summer, I grew up a swimmer. And I was a swimmer, and I swam outside, and I swam on swim teams. And it would be cold in the summer, and it would rain at times. And I'd be like, what the hell is this, man? Why am I sitting in June and it's raining and it's cold? So I had to come to the best weather. I moved out west, initially to Mission Beach in San Diego, and lived in LA for 10 years. And everybody asked me, where's the favorite place you ever lived, JT? I lived in Connecticut. I grew up in New York. I lived in San Francisco, right across the street from Momo's at the ballpark. I lived in LA for 10 years, Vegas, and I lived in San Diego for 8. And by far, the favorite place I've ever lived in my life is Las Vegas. I live in Las Vegas because it's a free country. They don't tell us when to go to bed. They don't tell us when we have to leave a bar. They don't make us go home early. They let us live out here. They don't charge state taxes. I don't care if you're a multimillionaire or you make minimum wage. You don't want to give your taxes to the state if you don't have to. So it's a free country out here. I love it. It gets a little hot. It does. It does get a little bit hot only in June, mid-June, July, and August. That's when I recommend people leave, right? You try to get out of here, get to the beach for a couple of weeks. You live inside, you get in the pool, you try to do things. That's why I'm always praising our construction workers and the people who work outside and the people who have to take the bus and the people that have to walk to work because it's unbearable. But other than that, it's fantastic. You can go to the Strip quickly. You can get home. You see the best concerts, sports, UFC, boxing in the world. We have the Sphere. We have T-Mobile Arena. We have Allegiant Stadium. We have Lake Mead. We have the mountains of Mount Charleston. You can get to Utah really quickly to Duck Creek. You can go anywhere you want. And we have an airport. We have the Las Vegas International Airport. And you can get in and out of here pretty quickly. They do a nice job with and our roads. We have roads that don't have potholes. We don't have potholes. Our roads. My wife and I were driving home last night. Oh, she was driving, wink, wink. Wife was driving last night as we came home from the friends and family at Nudo Italiano. And we got on the 215 interchange, and it was like we were on a magic carpet ride. It was just beautiful asphalt, smooth, as we drove past Durango on the left. And I said to the wife, I said, man, we stop in Durango? No, we'll go home. So I had a good one going last night. I wanted to go out last night, but we shut it down. We shut it down for Memorial Weekend. Wow, 3 phone calls to start the show off, and they weren't about the Raiders. Bravo. We're back to doing sports. We had an Indy 500, a Knicks call, and a Juan Soto call. I love that. We got plenty of Raiders coverage to get to. He mentioned Murph did Juan Soto. He got $700 million to go from Yankee Stadium to Citi Field, and he's miserable. He's got bad body language. One of the things I don't like about sports is when athletes who are paid enormous amount of money act like they're not having fun. I like me a good mean athlete who's angry. I like a mean athlete. But I also like guys that when they're getting paid that much money, they're happy. They're happy to be around their teammates. Juan Soto made a terrible decision, not a business decision, because he took the money and Steve Cohen, the owner, gave it to him. He made a horrible decision on leaving Aaron Judge and the Yankees and the short porch at Yankee Stadium to go to the Mets. No one cares about the Mets. The Mets have been irrelevant for most of your life. The Yankees are North America's most winning franchise, and they will never be surpassed. No one will surpass the Yankees' 27 championships and the legacy of Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Joe DiMaggio. It's just not going to happen. You don't have to like the Yankees, but you have to know when the aliens look down on Earth, they know the greatest franchise in the history of Earth is the New York Yankees. So Soto wanted to leave the Yankees. Most kids grow up wanting to play for the Yankees. And a lot of kids grow up wanting to play for the Raiders. You hear it from these guys, Ashton Genty, JPJ. Some of the guys say, man, I want to be a Raider. Well, why do they want to be a Raider? Because their moms and dads were Raiders. They look back at the history of Jim Otto, and they remember Ted Hendricks, and they know about the Snake, Kenny Stabler, and the great George Atkinson, who I touched base with today. Players want to play for the Raiders because of the shield, the colors of silver and black, and the proud history. The Raiders won Super Bowl 11, 15, and 18. They were the team of the decades. Now they haven't won for 20 plus years. Bring in Tom Brady, bring in Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll, bring in everybody here to try it again. That's all we're doing, man. We're trying to fix this. We're trying to get back to the winning ways. I've been here for it. I want to see this team win as much as anybody. And the only way they're going to win is they got to put the noise behind them and mute it down from the biased media who despises the Raiders, and play with a chip on their shoulder and go out and kick ass and take names. Pete Carroll runs a program that way. He did it with the Legion of Boom, LOB. He did it with Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson. He did it with a fan base that wasn't a great fan base. Seattle didn't have a great fan base. Now they have a great one because of Pete Carroll. They're called the 12s, and they're legit. Seattle has really good football fans. And when Pete came to his first press conference, he talked about the history of the Raiders, growing up in the Bay Area and knowing that history. He has a proud history for Bill Walsh and Al Davis. The time is now for the Raiders to win, and win quickly. This is not a 2 or 3 year plan. This plan is about 2025. The team is destined to win now. They have a group around them that gets a fair shot to lead this team back to greatness. Will they get it done? I believe they will. But they got to win some bleeping games. 702-365-9200. Outstanding monologue brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue. 5 to 7, midnight to 2. What a company. What a success story. From when Blake Sartini took it over, Golden Entertainment, PTs, and now they built this unbelievable company that owns the Strat. Proud to be a part of it. Open lines. We just had a few good calls. We're going to give away a Grimaldi gift card for $50 to a great caller. 702-365-9200. Yeah, we're good. That background noise was my iPad, so I figured that out. What's happening, chat? Weather's perfect out here. 72 degrees, Hunter. Nice. Big D aiming to live on Maui. Yes, I like Kihei in Maui. My buddies live in Kihei. Lake Tahoe weather's the real deal. Snow Raider knows that. It's beautiful. With a good rant at the end there, son, at the end when we talked about the greatness of the Raiders. We should clip that up. All right, what do we want to talk about? All right. All right, trying to get the phones going here a little bit. We got our typical 50 people in the chat. Even Chris in West Oakland knows how to work the chat. I love that. Better than me. Oh, ho, ho, ho. All right, gotta find some breaking news, something to rant about. I love this new format and layout we have, man, with the scroll and the logo and the live. I love all this, man. Really think it looks good. Really think it looks good.
Home of the famous New York style coal-fired brick oven pizza.
He has shown already. He's only been here 2 weeks because he was graduating, finished his coursework. Hats off to him for getting that done. From the moment he stepped on the field, he did everything you could possibly ask of him. Study habits, work habits, his focus on a regular basis. He's making the catches and the plays. Gino already knows who's out there. He knows where 89 is, and he's found him a ton of times already. And he just makes himself so available. It's like what you saw last year. On a team that was struggling, he still just continued to show really positive and good attributes, and he's doing it.
Turn it up. People love the Doors. People love the Doors. If you're young enough and you don't know the Doors, play it loud over Memorial Day weekend. You'll thank me. Something interesting Pete Carroll said. Welcome back, everybody, as we're brought to you by our great friends at the DeCastroverde Law Group, Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde. If you get into an accident, they'll help you. They just got a great law group, and I get a chance to see their law clerks, to their young attorneys, to the two gentlemen, Alex and Orlando. They do an unbelievable job. Put their number in the phone. If you get into an accident, you're injured, pause, get to the side of the road, be safe. Don't start giving out a ton of information to people you don't know. Call the brothers. The brothers win. The brothers have your back. 702-222-9999. Now, Pete Carroll just said about Brock Bowers on a team that struggled last year. That wasn't his team, wasn't Pete's team. He was impressed how Brock got better and better and improved. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want to hear. Pete Carroll's not taking a shot at the former coach and the team. He wasn't here for that. But he noticed that Brock played through all that and the 10 losses in a row and played at a very high level. And he's going to get the ball a bunch. Pete Carroll's not an offensive coach. He's a head coach who's really good. And he's got Chip Kelly now. And Pete and Chip and John Spytek and Tom Brady and everybody who's sitting around, all the coaches are going to try to find a way to continue to give Brock his targets. He needs a lot of targets. He's a great player. But then you have to get Ashton Genty. So we had a discussion last night with a friend of mine who I saw at this restaurant opening. And he brought up a really interesting topic. He said, how many touches do you think Brock and Genty are going to get combined? I said, man, that's a great question. I don't know, but I would say 30. He said 30, yeah, because sometimes you run between 50 and 60 plays. You're going to give him half of them? Half of them to Genty and Brock? And I said, hell yeah, we are. Brock needs to get 10 receptions, which could be 10 targets. So say it's 12 targets and 10 receptions. That works for me. And Genty needs the ball 20 times. I mean, look, if he gets it 10 times and runs for 140 yards, I'm good. But, Ashton Genty's going to need the ball. He's like a ball of knives, right? He's just a machine. So if you give 20 to Genty and 10 to Brock, that's 30. If you give 5 targets to 7 targets to 10 or 6 to Jacoby Myers, I'd like to see Big Mike touch the ball. I think Raheem Mostert's good for 5 carries a game at some point. Trey Tucker better get a couple of deep balls. And then this guy, Besh. I mean, Besh has got to get 5 balls a game, at least targets. Maybe that's 4 or 5 receptions. And then what do you do with this Deontay Thornton, who runs as fast as Trey Tucker? What do you give him? 2 targets, 3, 5? I don't know. But what's going to change with Geno Smith is Geno's going to keep the drives going longer. Jimmy Garoppolo could not do that. Gardner Minshew could not do that. Aiden at times could do it, but Aiden's still young and developing. Geno Smith on 3rd and 4 is going to have the option to hand it off to Ashton Genty or throw him a screen pass, throw a 5-yard outer in route to Brock or Big Mike, throw a slant to Jacoby Myers for a first down, or fake the slant to Jacoby, pivot his hips and go deep to Trey, or Dante on a long ball. So with all this happening here, the options for Geno Smith are going to be enormous on 2nd and 3rd down. I don't think that Chip Kelly's going to waste plays like we talked about in the past, which was just a waste first down, hand the ball into a pile. Oh, I know you, man. I know you. Fabian knows. Everybody looks at me in my seat going, oh, my God. They didn't just hand the ball up the middle into the pile on first down. Yeah, they did. They did it all the time. They threw away first down. They, the former regimes, multiple, they weren't enlightened on first down football. They would hand the ball off up the middle into a pile and lose yards or gain no yards. It would be 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 10. Chip Kelly ain't going to do that. I mean, look, if Ashton Genty gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage, okay, but that's not going to happen a lot. Chip will call it right. Chip will call a faster game, which will be based in a running philosophy, a strict running philosophy, led by Ashton Genty and Raheem Mostert, we're assuming. And then it's going to open up the passing game for Geno Smith to be a 70% or more accurate passer. If you're able to do that, then you can move the chains. Not easily, because the other team, the defense gets paid to stop you. But we got an opportunity now here in Raider Nation to see an offense click and an offense to pick up momentum. As I was talking to someone the night of the gala, too, and we looked at this, and everybody was excited about what we were seeing at the gala, talking to people about Geno. Geno can lead us when we're trailing. Do we understand this? Do we understand that Geno Smith can lead us when we're coming from behind? Gardner Minshew was not available to do that at a consistent basis. Aiden O'Connell, I give him a mulligan. He's a young player. Aiden's only supposed to be starting to play now. He was a backup quarterback when he was drafted. He's still a backup quarterback that has a lot of skills to start when needed. But Geno Smith is what can take the Raiders to the promised land. He hasn't been touched much in his career. He hasn't taken a beating. He's in tremendous shape. He's a leader, and he knows exactly how Pete Carroll runs his program. Max doesn't. Max is just starting under Pete Carroll. He's learning. Geno knows everything. So the offense should be ready to go. And I'm telling you, this training camp's going to be different because last year in Costa Mesa, oh boy, they couldn't run a play. They couldn't even run a snap. Ball was on the ground almost every day. Ball will not be on the ground. They're aware that Max wants to ruin practice. They're aware of that, and Geno will change the play and will slow down Max Crosby from wrecking every training camp practice. I can guarantee you that. It's a compliment, Max, because you wreck practices. Buck and the Modelos, I'm going to put them on ice. I'm going to have them dripping wet on ice in about an hour as we thank Modelo. They're the #1 beer in America. Okay, thank you. Man, we tried something new today. We're on Twitter. So we got a nice audience that's streaming us not only on YouTube, but they're streaming us on Twitter. So for our Twitter audience, we welcome you in. We thank you very much for being there. And that's why we have so many people in here today, which I was trying to figure out. Why do we have so many people today? Well, we got a Twitter audience that's also checking us out. So we appreciate that if you want to get in and look at it that way. Really happy about what's going on here. Did anybody go see the Tom Cruise movie, or does it debut tonight? I'm not sure. Does it start tonight? My buddy Harry Ruiz gave me some price points on movie tickets. Yes, my son went to OU. And then my son just graduated from ASU. Yeah, I'm a Tottenham fan. I not grew up, but I met a English soccer hooligan in the 90s who taught me about Tottenham and Arsenal. I became a Tottenham fan. How's the weather out here today? Let's see what we got in Backyard Brick. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a Sooner fan. I paid a lot of money to go to send a kid to Oklahoma, so I'm a Sooner fan by default. Oh, Michael, you're going to the Yankees in Colorado. Wow. I'll show you something cool that no one's seen in the world right now. I'm going to show you something right now that you won't believe. My buddy is at an Aaron Judge signing. This is what Aaron Judge is doing today. Look at that. Look at that. Judge. That's the Martian, Jason Dominguez. The Martian. Bring your dog to the Aviators game, huh? Kyle says Trey Tucker should be on notice. I think the rookie from Tennessee takes his job. Oh, it's going to be a lot of competition there, no doubt. They're both fast. We'll keep the stream here till the top of the hour, and then I'll bang out second hour radio only. And that's about it.
Beer in the U.S.
When I got there in 2016, we won 9 games, and then we hit a little bit of a rough patch. And we had to be pretty self-critical of the players that we were selecting and signing in free agency, and understand where we missed, and then have a plan to come off of that. And there was led by Jason. He said all the time, we don't miss on the player, we miss on the person. And so we really believed in that, and we made that kind of the central piece of our scouting process. We were going to commit to the person. We were going to almost demand that the person that we were selecting was a love it football person, that they were competitive as hell, that you almost had to, in a sense, kill them to get them off the field. Like the idea of put the football down anywhere, we just want to play. That became paramount. And there's always a temptation when you watch athletes move around. I mean, one of the drugs for me is to put on film and see somebody do something incredibly difficult, make it look extremely easy just because they're so gifted athletic. But more complicated is to find the driven, competitive, high emotional intelligence person that usually outlasts just a talented person. And when you find that person and they have the body of a Tristan Wirfs or a Vita Vea, that's, to me, I think when you start hitting home runs.
That was a great piece of audio. Ari Mirov on his podcast had John Spytek. I listened to the whole thing. It was really good. I mean, you just heard the philosophy of John Spytek under Jason Light and what they were trying to do in Tampa and how they were building the team and the type of players they want. You know, it's very easy for a GM to say that I want guys to run through walls for me. I want guys to do this. They're professional football players. Of course, they're supposed to earn their salary and play their ass off. But you got to draft the guys and you got to talk to their former coaches all the way back to high school. You have to find out if they love football or not. Did they show up early? Did they stay late? What do they do to distinguish themselves from others when it comes to being a teammate and comes to being a leader? And that's one of the best things about Geno Smith is that Geno was in a situation where he really could have quit. I mean, after all those years of being a backup quarterback, I mean, literally not even getting a snap. Go look at Geno Smith's stats. Just go into Wikipedia or Google Geno Smith stats. And when you do, you'll see there were 3 or 4 years we didn't even play football, but he was in every meeting, every practice, drove to the building in the morning and stayed late. And that's the type of leadership that Pete Carroll loves. He knows what he's got with Geno. He knows what he's got with Max. Now, does he know what he has with Christian Wilkins? He said yesterday that he's there early and he's working really hard. That was nice to hear. But Pete Carroll's different because Pete's not going to run around, I don't believe, to every meeting room and threaten people and tell them if you don't do this, you're going to be out. I mean, imagine Bill Parcells, the way Bill Parcells used to talk to players in the middle of practice. You've seen all that NFL Films video where he basically say, I'll cut your ass by the end of the day. Jimmy Johnson, if you fell asleep in a meeting, you were cut. Pete Carroll knows that he's going to throw up so much competition to everybody that it's going to be not easy, but it'll open up the vision for Pete to either cut a player or keep a player will be obvious because of their practice habits. And practice is really important in the NFL because they're not allowed to practice anymore. They're not allowed to put on pads and have two-a-days. They're not allowed to hit. They have minimal days in camp, minimal days where they can get together in the offseason. And then once the season starts, you barely ever have the players in pads because they're worn out. You're making them play Sunday, Thursday, Saturday, Fridays during holidays. The players need time off to recover. So I like the old school days of, two-a-days and you're in pads. But that's never going to happen again. I mean, Roger Goodell spent the beginning of the week talking about flag football. What I like to do on Friday, and we have another hour left, what I like to do is look at Monday to Friday. And in this week, I had the Knicks getting my heart ripped out in front of me. Brutal. Worst loss of my life. But it started off a week with the NFL owners meetings where Roger Goodell brought out Justin Jefferson and people to sell us on flag football. Well, I looked at that topic a little bit more differently than other sports talk hosts. And I think it's great that you can win a gold medal playing flag football. Doesn't mean we're going to. Doesn't mean that any NFL players are going to play in the Olympics in 2028. But the point is, Roger Goodell is trying to make sure that young people in this country who are not physically prepared to play tackle football can be inclusive and play flag football. And then if he can grow that aspect of flag football, yeah, of course he'll find an NFL player or two. But what he'll do is he'll get those young kids to love football so they pay for Netflix and Amazon Prime, and they pay for all of this that Roger Goodell wants new customers to pay for. And the way to grow the sport is to move it internationally to Europe and South America and to make sure that everybody can play. And it was a big week for the owners on that. Because the owners show up at that meeting and they know how much money they're going to make every year. It must be great to be an NFL owner, knowing every time you show up at an owners meeting and on a private jet. And Mark is very smart about how he travels. So this is not a shot at all the owners. Some of them travel differently than others. Jim Irsay passed away this week. May he rest in peace. He had a lot of fans, a lot of people who didn't understand him. But the commissioner this week set the tone for the future of the NFL. Less violence, more flag football, less violence, and more streaming and more international play. I mean, 5 years from now, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to turn on the TV and there's going to be so many games being played in Europe and around the country, your head's going to spin. And then you're going to get used to it by 20 years from now. 20 years from now, you're going to be like, okay, it's a Sunday. There's 7 games in the early window and 3 of them are coming from Europe, because that's how you squeeze every last dollar out of the sport and get the owners more and more money when you can't grow the sport. NBA is going through an interesting time now. If the NBA gets the Pacers and Oklahoma City in the finals, no one's going to watch. I mean, they'll watch in Oklahoma City and Indianapolis. They're not going to watch in San Francisco and Detroit, in Miami. You think people are going to race home from work in Miami to go watch the Pacers in Oklahoma City? Nobody will. But the NBA has already been bigger than the NFL internationally. They've been huge internationally. Final hour of the week coming up next. We're off on Monday for Memorial Day. And I'll be in Chicago at the end of next week for Mike Ditka. We'll have Vince Sapienza sitting in for me one day and Vinny Bonsignor. Q will join us in over an hour. He's got a big show lined up. I got a lot to say. Hour number 2, radio only. Thanks for the bricklayers and everybody who joined us on YouTube this week. Greatly appreciate you. Everybody. Okay, hour number 2 coming up next. All right, we're going to do radio only, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You were great this week. Man, you were great. I can't thank you enough.